I would just, thank you, Ken. I would just, I guess, emphasize a couple of your points that we need, that the EC4 has done important things, that we need to, however, restructure it and empower it, that we need annual reports that have findings and recommendations. We need to focus on the Science and Technical Advisory Board, which I've been sitting on for the last 4 years, repeatedly requesting that we do, as you say, evaluations of state policies in progress given the current science and technical information. Are we doing enough in Rhode Island to deal with climate change as it's understood by the scientific community and as the technology is now available to address it? But unfortunately, the makeup of that panel has been largely those who are have more expertise on the side of describing changes in Rhode Island's environment, that is, natural scientists who can talk about how vulnerable we are and species and changes in the coastline and so on, and not enough expertise on the policy side nor on the technical to get to a low carbon and resilient future in Rhode Island. So just on that, some students at Brown and myself have started a project to update the greenhouse gas emissions reduction plan. So we've gone back to the consultant, the Stockholm Environmental Institute, and who did the initial modeling for this. And we're going to be incorporating some of the science and seeing what is actually necessary and what is possible in the state. Can we, in fact, reach targets that are much more ambitious than those that were taken up in this report? This stopped at 80% emission reductions by 2050, which is in the Resilient Rhode Island Act, which we knew at the time that was passed, they're not strong enough, but that was what was politically possible. And so the science is saying that we need to probably reach net zero, that is, with some extraction of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, maybe by reforestation in the state, and by soil conservation techniques, that we should get to net zero by 2050, maybe even 2040, or even maybe 2035. So the idea is this updating of the plan will be done with a wide range of models to see what's possible, how much it would cost, likely, in very rough terms. What are the policies that at least would have to be considered if we're going to do that? This report also did not consider economy-wide policies, for example, like a carbon price. So there's a lot of other policies that we're going to be looking into. We will do it with accounting, both of the ways that Ken just described, that is by consumption-based and production-based, to see really what's possible. And I guess I'll also mention another project that I discussed at the last EC4 meeting in the public comment period with two other of my students who have built, Ben Gross and Angie Kim, have built a draft dashboard for accountability to keep track of how the state is doing on these mitigation emissions reduction targets and how are we doing on our adaptation targets. So there's so much that could be done from the EC4 if it had the resources. It's been 4.5 years. I think it is time for reevaluation for maybe some larger legislative proposals that could reform this, give it real teeth. We need a EC4 that's also informed by, as Ken said, independent eyes and ears about what the science is telling us is necessary, what civil society, that is the people of Rhode Island deserve to know about what we're doing, and then also need to sort of guide this process and what we think is the right way for Rhode Island to address climate change.